It now seems that the majority of our guests are online, so without further ado, good morning to guests joining us today from Europe, and good afternoon to those based in Asia like ourselves. A very quick take on the title of today's session and the reasons why we join forces with today's speakers, namely the Changshu Economic and Technological Development Zone, represented by Joe Yin, Investment Promotion Director, Naila Cast Automotive, represented by its Managing Director, connected from the UK, Simon Harvey, and Orman Changshu, represented by its Plant Director, Mario Bock. Now, a very quick overlook of what are the systemic shocks that European industrial and manufacturing multinationals are facing nowadays that all result in a drop of orders or the activities that are used to take place in the Chinese plant. First thing first, few lines on who's speaking on air. It's Fabio Stella here, Oxford Head of Sales and Business Development for China, and your chaperone during today's session. Now, the agenda for the webinar, I will start with the FDI environment in China and a view on recent changes in doing business here. We'll then sum up for you China's economic outlook in order to link it with data from sales and purchase that attain with your daily tasks. In the second part, we'll get a sense on the benefits and incentives that foreign manufacturers can obtain by partnering up with one of the leading special economic zones in the Yangtze River Delta, as Joyin from the Changshu EDZ is going to bring those opportunities onto your screens. We'll then round up with Nailacast and Orman recounts on their choice to select Changshu for their regional plants, with first-hand experiences on the response to COVID-19 by Simon and Mario Bock. The last part is up for you to take, as well as will be available for Q&A on these and other topics. So why have in Oxford to deliver this initial overview? Although representing the corporate service industry for companies, private clients, structuring, and funds administration, our European and Asian presence turns us into a great example of a Mittelstand firm aspiring to lead the market for ventures with international ambitions and exposure. Planning ahead, given the regulatory challenges your business faces every day, is much more than a simple company motto, but also the value we hope you'll squeeze today from our slides. As you can see here, there's little we can't help you with in China and Asia, especially whenever hard times, like the ones we are facing at the moment, call for efficiency, care, and delivery. Jumping straight to our first section, what foreign invested companies stand for in China today? As you notice in the first quote, COVID-19 has really reshaped each and every business globally, but it hasn't impacted the attractiveness and the opportunities for foreign direct investment in China and the Pearl River Delta. Suzhou, the municipality, and Changshu and its economic and development zone belong to, happen, in fact, to lead the way, topping business and production resumption rates in early March, right after the local outbreak. It's not a surprise then if we brought to you today two examples of manufacturers like Nailacast Automotive and Horman Doors with best practices and tips on how to lead plants in this phase, no matter if you're based in Asia or in Europe. By looking at the second expert view, we in fact clarified that if all entire enterprises suffered from the COVID-19 impact over here in China, the exposure of private businesses is basically twice as large as the one for state-owned enterprises, who still represent a big slice of the market. It's clear then that our focus and the authorities one should bring on solutions and assistance to private enterprises as a whole. Recapping one slide in one sentence, can we say that solving the impact of a slowdown on foreign manufacturing is key to cater to the future of China's economy facing the global one? Now, that very same effort that we discussed from the local authorities in order to tackle the effect of the local outbreak would be to push forward reforms and market opening, appealing to business and investors. And it really didn't stop in the past few years, but mostly focused on solving other general hurdles and challenges to the economic status quo. As you can see from the first few lines of this slide, the most popular piece of regulation effective since January this year, but much trumpeted about since a while ago, was providing a handy response to both demands from foreign actors and chambers of commerce based here, and requests for equal treatment towards investment by governments based abroad. Just think about the Trump administration comments during the US-China trade war. In the same way, and well before that, China has tried whatever it could to strive and vessel away from the iceberg represented by the middle income trap, an economist's favorite, for developing Asian economies. So we know that China is only the last one of the Asian tigers, and Japan before them has already fallen into a situation where the economy doesn't really grow after its initial peak. Swiftly moving on to the main reason why direct economic stimulus wasn't the main resource used to support businesses coping with the local COVID-19 outbreak here in China. Well, it's not a secret that the 25% reduction of value-added tax rates on general goods and others applied to the service industry have kept the Chinese economy afloat during the US-China trade war, but reduced sensibly tax revenues and the previous power of intervention by the Ministry of Finance and the State Administration for Taxation. Finally, we also listed corporate income tax cuts and benefits on reinvesting profits, given that China is very well aware of the rising cost of doing business, and we will see a particular slide on this topic afterwards, but also of the increasing competition by Asian economies, and for example, the most recent incentives announced by the States and Japan, namely the first and the third economy of the world, in order to bring back home vital manufacturers for global supply chains that are now overexposed to China. Now, judging by the number of reforms, you might worry about the future endeavors of the Chinese economic outlook. However, worries have been worried for a while now, and if there's one thing clear to all parties involved here, it's the incredible speed, pace, and commitment with which the government in China has vowed to readjust its strategy in order to best fit economic challenges. Without that in mind, you have to picture a local growth for China that allows the country to roughly head up the equivalent of another Australia each and every year. After semesters of showing growth and consideration on new emerging Asian tigers, the landscape brought about by this year's global pandemic seems to have favored, once again, the most dynamic challengers and structures that are embracing change by nature. Just take a look at the IMF estimates for 2021 on the left lower part of this slide to judge the resilience of the Chinese system. While other markets are implementing full lockdowns and planning ahead for their phase 2, however that might look, China is already stashing reserves for its phase 3 and the second part of 2020, and striving away from an export-based model that would have left no breath in its lungs now that routes abroad are fully dedicated to government purchase of medical devices and masks. Now, with all the previous slides' conclusions in mind, how do we compare the economic impact of SARS almost 20 years ago versus what could happen given the local and the worldwide outbreak of COVID-19? A positive outlook would tell us that the end of SARS was at the core of China's digital economy boom, which turned the country into today's giant, accounting for roughly 39% of the global expansion in 2019. That's actually how Jingdong became JD.com. And that very platform feeds and has fed in the past Chinese households with groceries every day, when before it only focused on computers and spare parts on brick and mortar stores. So the pessimist instead might say, hey, even though China has gotten factories back to work, how's it going to protect the market for its goods now that they are hit by outbreaks? But we can't really use that argument if then any attempt by the Chinese government to increase influence in other jurisdictions is the critics' favorite choice against topics like involvement in 5G technologies, or just think about the Belt and Road Initiative. We actually like the realist view more. So after weeks of complaining at the wind or hoping for it to change, if China has championed discussions on how its internal demand was going to substitute a growth model based on export, the effect of which was slowly starting to decrease anyway in the last few years, well, what better testing ground than surviving this global outbreak and provide additional market with foreign and imported goods coming and demanded by Chinese consumers? So we can focus over here on a piece of regulation that has actually put into the making the view of China's Prime Minister Li Keqiang. We can see over here that reforming government functions towards a world-class, market-oriented business environment, it's actually China's only choice to advance reform and opening up with a greater force and at a greater pace if compared to previous EO. The very same approach would help the country to respond effectively to shocks and implement an healthy growth cycle as it hopes it'll be after this year, which comes with no growth target set for the GDP of China. So basically, entering the hardest part to digest of our slides, we'd like to put a comparison into the making and see how would a global recession kickstarted by COVID-19 resemble or distance itself from the one that we faced a decade ago with the global financial crisis of 2008, 2009. Some of our guests today probably still have expats, colleagues stuck out of China, or at least that's the case for us, where borders were shut on all kinds of civil visas holders. Now, the global economy has turned business trips and mobility into a vital part of our role here, but is the end of all this the biggest impact that the pandemic might have on our businesses or our biggest fears for future months? Well, with global foreign direct investment falling 50% between 2007 and 2017, the 3 years of recovery that we had until now would most probably be wiped out in a similar scenario of global recession. So a reduction of investment and retrenchment by banks giving up foreign debts would only add up to the reasons why foreign direct investment in China and small and medium enterprises over here will need to stand and walk on their own feet. Among the shocks harder to control, back in 2009, there was forex debt exposure by corporation with depreciating currencies. Now, just take a look at the high right part of the screen and the renminbi US dollar rate, and note that the total Chinese debt at the moment is close to 310% of the country's GDP, no matter if this year target wasn't set by the Lianghui that just concluded this week. And that very same debt is now over 15% of the world's total. The good news is, though, that having had to deal with zero or low access to credit in the past few years, structures like foreign direct investment or small and medium enterprises with investment from abroad are less at risk than, for example, the very same category of companies during the 2009-2014 as shown in the map. Conscious about time, I'll run the next 4 slides with a headline each, in leaving you with some doubts for the parts by the Changshu Economic and Development Zone, Nailacast Automotive, and Horman Changshu with their lessons from the field. Now, media keeps talking about the cost of doing business and how it's becoming unbearable over here in China. But is really cheap labor or low taxes what foreign invested enterprises are looking for in this market? As we listed in this slide, both by the PRC authorities and by respondents to the latest business confidence surveys by the European Chamber of Commerce in China, it appears that the reduction of the total workforce and the rising labor costs are actually the main concern, but not only with what entails to the price of those workers. We have housing regulations in place in main cities, gentrification of inner provinces that were previously sources for immigrants into the coastal areas, and if China is worried about the middle income trap, well, companies are worried of the talent trap. So we've mentioned credit all along and the access that it gets for foreign invested enterprise over here. But if we looked into the cash flow needs of local companies and different scenarios, now that we have time in China, given the safe situation that we accessed since few months, in order to look for solutions in the future months. And again, the previous craze for Made in China 2025 has left the way for other worries now that the plan is not publicly mentioned anymore. While we understand the consequences on China's manufacturing of that previous policy, have you heard already of China Standards 2035? Because that might be the next topic for other webinars by us or topics raised by media. And finally, with the aim of finding saving grace by ourselves in our role as representatives of foreign businesses facing troubled waters back at home, here are 5 tips I'll leave you with before leaving the word to Joe's team and its presentation on how the Changshu Economic Development Zone has assisted foreign manufacturers to access the Chinese market, thrive in the Yangtze River Delta, and weather the COVID-19 outbreak and business resumption challenges. Joe, the word is now over to you.
Okay, thanks all. And hello everyone, this is Joe from CEDZ, the Changshu Economic and Technological Development Zone. So first of all, I'd like to thank Fabio of Hotspur to host the webinar for us and for foreign and civil friends who has interest to run the business in China. As the co-organizer of the webinar, I would also thank you. Thanks Mr. Simon Harvey and Mr. Mario Bog to participate in this webinar and share their first-hand valuable experience during the COVID-19 epidemic prevention and work resumption of Changshu plant, and also the positive outlook of future. Okay, so my speech includes 5 parts. The first one is about the profile of Changshu development zones and so okay, my speech includes 5 parts. The first one is our profile of Changshu and development zones. The second one is epidemic prevention resume productions. The third one is the layout of development zones and basic infrastructures, forces, service, and environment. And the final one is our advantages. Okay, the glance at the Changshu. The Changshu is the biggest county-level city in Suzhou district, so with total area about 1,276 square kilometers. Well, very close to Shanghai is just about 80 kilometers west of Shanghai, with total population about 2 million people. And the average annual average temperature is similar like Shanghai too, and we are always listed top 4 of national 100 countries. Okay, from this map, we could say, and Changshu is located as a crossing and injection of Chinese Riverside economy belt and the Chinese coastal economy belt. And we are located as the most developed areas. We call it Jiangzhehu, is Zhejiang, Jiangsu, and Shanghai district. And the total GDP of the Jiangzhehu in the year of 2018 reached RMB about 18.15 trillions. Totaling around US dollars 2.71 trillions, and it's more than 20% of the national total GDP of the than the India, that of the India, the third largest in Asia, and equal to that of the France. So the Jiangzhou area is also listed top 10 economic body. Okay, the following we come to our transportations, and Changshu still enjoys a very well-rounded transportations and enjoy the very good geographic locations. We have the airports, 3 airports to use, and currently we have 3 high-speed railways just driving across the Changshu, and we still have the Changshu port. It's one of the 10 biggest inland water port in development zones. And currently we have 5 expressways from the expressway networks in the whole Changshu areas. So this is our economic index of Changshu, and it's the main figures and our achievements in the 2019. The GDP, the per capita GDP, and currently we have successfully promoted about 3,300 FIEs, foreign invested enterprises, in the whole Changshu areas, and fulfilled foreign capital is around 640 million US dollars. And this is our award of Changshu, and we have a lot of the, award awarded by the different kind of the international organizations, NPOs, NGOs, and some, Chinese municipal, Chinese central government, city councils. And Changshu is also an ancient city with a history of more than 3,000 years, and is the first national historical and cultural city in the whole Jiangsu province. And here is the whole industrial development in Changshu. And currently in Changshu area, we have 3 pillar industries with RMB 100 billion output each: the automotive, equipment manufacturing, textile, and apparel. And 2 industries with RMB 50 billion output each: new materials, new generation of information technology. And 3 industries with RMB 10 billion output each: new energy conservation and environmental protections, biopharmaceuticals. And the new growth poles to drive future development is aviation and the digital industries, the hydrogen fuel cells vehicles, and fintech, etc. And here is our developing industries in the development zones. And currently, we focus on the industries of the automobile and parts, fine chemicals and pharmaceuticals, intelligent equipment, the machineries, equipment manufacturing, new energies, modern service industries, including the e-commerce industries, IT, electronic information, and marine engineering industries. Okay, and following is our industries and companies in the development zones. Is still engaged in this, our 8 focus industries, and all this have made their investment in the development zones. And the development zones e-commerce is about we have successfully promoted two big domestic fresh e-commerce industries players, the Miss Fresh and Meicai. All these two companies has makes made investment of the East China headquarters in our zones for their East China networks of the fresh e-commerce. And currently, I mentioned about the Houseford. The Houseford is still made their investment to set up a wholly owned foreign enterprises to set up their financial share center and commercial center in our development zones. And so far as now, they successfully promoted two luxury brand, I could see luxury brands in our zones. One is Gioventù Rossi and the Commander Shoemakers. All these two brands had set up their trading companies in the zone and for their whole China's and mainland sales. And the next slide is our achievements. Our histories, our economic achievements, and I just want to emphasize 2 points. That means that our development zone is the national level development zones, ranked 26 among best national level zones, and we also listed top 5 among best national level zones in Jiangsu province. Okay, this is our location of development zones, and our development zone is located the northeast of the whole Changshu areas, and we have about 18 kilometers to the downtown area of Changshu, and currently we have the elevated road connected the downtown areas and development zone areas. And from this map, we could see we have 2 railway stations. We call it a Tonghu railway station. One is Changshu North, around the north to the downtown areas. The other is Changshu East. It's nearly the south to the development zones. Okay, here's we have. We need to emphasize 3 railways pass through Changshu, and currently the Tonghu railways will open traffic on July 1st, 2020, and we could enjoy 23 minutes from Changshu to Shanghai. Here's the Changshu station, Changshu North, and the South Riverside railways from Nanjing to Shanghai is still under construction now, and the Tongsu Jiayong railways from Nanchong and from the north part of China to the Hangzhou areas will start construction soon. And currently we have the trail operations. We have quite a few the DMUs and the high-speed trains have do the trail operations to the Changshu station, and we will officially open on the 1st of July. Okay, now we're talking about epidemic prevention and the work resumptions. And our services for the work resumptions is mainly for the work resumption counselors and service operators. The CEDZ has established the consulting, inspection, management, and services systems with 39 resumption counselors. The guide is enterprises to make the preparations for the return of the staff, epidemic prevention and material reserves, and factory management. And we also set up an inspection and service offices to hold communication meetings for the enterprises every day, especially in the Spring Festival year period. And all the staff of CEDZ Investment Promotion Bureau will still provide the enterprises with one-on-one tutoring the resumption of work. And by the March 19th, we had donate around 180,000 masks to enterprises, and we also donate quite a lot of epidemic prevention materials to some big companies. And we still have some, software supporting and the mobile app services to help the companies and settled enterprises to quickly pass their inspections and to return for the normal work and productions, such like the pseudo online platform for work resumptions, the migrant return declaration systems, allowance service group for the corporators, and the daily survey on the resumption of productions. And during this kind of the hard time, and pseudo municipal government and the Changshu government issued the 10 provincial policies for the work resumptions and to tide over the difficulties for the small and medium-sized enterprises. The meaning could be classified into 3 parts. The first part is strengthening financial support, including the keep remaining credit available for SMEs, reducing financing costs, policy bank playing leading roles, and encouraging supportive financial services. The second one is about the securing jobs for the workforce, is to maintain their workers' teams and implementing the supporting policies to secure jobs and help enterprises out, suspending social security premium payment. Third one is elevating the burden of the enterprises. That is very useful and actually reduce the cost and helps the companies over the difficulties, deducting or the exempting range for the SMEs, deducting or exempting taxations for SMEs, differing tax payments, such kind of the preferential policies and supporting policies is really help the companies to tide over the difficulty during such kind of the hard times. Even during the epidemic periods, COVID-19, we still insist the investment promotions. Some major projects were accelerated in development zone, and we still cite the new projects and push the old projects implementations. The third part is about the layout of development zones. From this map, we could see, and the development zone is covered about 57 square kilometers, including 37 square kilometers of industrial areas and 20 square kilometers of riverside new cities. That means we could divide it into the 2 parts. The western part, we call it the uptown, and the western part is the riverside new cities, and the eastern part is industrial areas. And we enjoy the 37 kilometers long with riverside river lines, and has several operating port areas. And we still have some functional units such as the customers, CIQs, the banding areas, standard workshop areas, and we still have some characteristics parks such like the Auto Park, Sino-Europe Park, and German Park. This is our standard workshop, and currently we have around 707 square meters of workshop areas, and so far as now, 90% has been rented. And we still have the high-end warehousing accommodation to the e-commerce at the DC centers, distribution centers. We have the GRPs, logos, and they all develop around 107 square meters for the high-end warehousing areas. And within these years, we will push out the Sino-Europe Park and the German Park. And this park will start construction in the Q4 of 2020. The developer will be our state-owned enterprises, the Changshu Riverside Urban Construction Management Investment companies. And the co-developer will be mobile with European and European background companies. And designer is a Virtual Arch. It's a very well-known German background designers, engineering consulting companies. And the land size about 185,000 square meters, and the building area around 230,000 square meters, including R&D platforms, incubators, accelerators, standard workshops, and we still could provide the BTS solutions, build-to-suit workshops. And when we're doing the constructions and do the engineering engineering designings, we will apply for the certification of the LEED. The leadership in energy and environment design is kind of the American standard for the greenery buildings, and the DGNB is kind of the German greenery buildings standard. So this German park or the Sino-Europe park will be our 4.0 level, the new generation park in the whole development zone. Okay, and following is our port transportations, and we still have the free trade zone. Just now I had mentioned about the boundary areas, and the first part is our service and environment. And we have the green channel efficiencies, and three first: the fast approval, fast implementations, fast service, multi-sectional joint work. And as a national level development zones, our infrastructure has reached 10 connections and leveled land. As you could enjoy all the public utilities available in our zone. And we still have the very rich labor pools in Changshu areas. And currently, talking about the living environment, we have nearly 20-star rated hotels in Changshu. We have Hotel Nichols and Crown Plaza, Pullman is available and doing the operation in Changshu areas. And in these years, we promoted 10 plus hotels in our city areas. And the neighboring allocations in Changshu and surrounding areas, we have quite a lot very famous universities and colleges, and we still have some international allocations such like the CWA, UWCs, okay, in some medical resources. Living environment in the Changshu areas. Okay. Finally, I'll give you guys about the summaries about our development zones. We have the 5 advantages: superior locations, mature infrastructures, and complete industrial chains, integrating education industries, excellent service systems, and parallelizing industries development. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you very much, Joe. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yes, okay, perfect. So thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for giving us the time to explain the great support of CEDZ. We are Nylacast Automotive. Next slide, please. We are a supplier to the automotive OEMs. In fact, we are a tier 2 supplier. So our customers tend to be the big steering manufacturers. Just a few words on the company. We are approximately 500-600 people. We are multi-location. We are based in the Changshu economic zone, and our business is cast polymers. In particular, we make gears for the automotive industry, but we also have an industrial business making cast polymers for many different industries, including oil and gas, construction, etc. Next slide, please. Just very quickly, our automotive pedigree goes back to 1998, as you can see there on the slide. We started our research into investing in China in 2013, 2014, and we chose the Changshu location in 2014, and we started production in 2015. And again, thanks to the close working, we established a very uneventful and seamless launch of Nylacast China. And today we supply most of the vehicle OEMs globally, and we are on certainly more than 200 vehicle types around the world. Next slide, please. You can see there we have many customers. This is just a few. Great Wall, Geely, Taijin over in Taiwan, SAIC, Donghua, Bosch, JTECT. All of these are either the steering producers or the OEMs. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we are multi-location in Changshu. We are headquartered in the UK. We are a UK business, but we also have operations in South Africa and in the USA. And recently, we've invested more in Changshu with research and development and testing capability, and the successful recruitment of application engineers who talk to our customers at the technical level. Next slide, please. So that was a brief introduction to Nylacast. Turning now to the unfortunate coronavirus pandemic. Clearly, the management of this and the solution to this is all about people. And it's all about people working together. It's having the right policies, support, and business practices in place, and maintaining an environment which is optimized and safe for our people, for our visitors, for officials and suppliers. We've gone into great detail to ensure that the working environment is optimized. Our working practices are separated on the shop floor and separated in the offices. We've thought about how people eat, how we clean, and how we increase social distancing. And management, setting the right priorities, maintaining health monitoring of our people coming into the factory as they go home, and again in cooperation with CEDZ, making sure that we've got fast and efficient suppliers of the right PPE. So this has been successful for us, but it is only through human collaboration that we have achieved the result we have. and I'm very happy to say we've had no coronavirus impacts into our business in Changshu. Next slide, please. So a quick look at the practicality of what we've been doing. Just some very quick photographs. You can see the desk spacing. You can see the temperature monitoring that we've been doing daily at the start and at the end of every shift. How we dispose of our cleaning materials, how we store our cleaning materials, and the discipline and respect for one another that we've instilled across the business. I repeat, this has been through collaboration and a joint effort and very successful. Next slide, please. So in terms of CEDZ, we cannot speak highly enough of the support that we enjoy. We've had guidance and coaching on how to manage the situation. Very clear policies have been issued, and deliberate audits and interventions to make sure that we have strong compliance with the expectations. I've mentioned there in the middle in terms of having the right suppliers at the right time to supply the right PPE. We've been very successful in accessing that to make sure that it is available at the right points. And the enterprise supporting the business. Joe, in his presentation, has mentioned some of the possibilities that have been made available, and we are certainly grateful for that. Next slide, please. Our CEO, Musa Mohammed, he had wanted to send a message to the audience today that he appreciates greatly the collaborative work that we've all enjoyed. Clearly, there has been an economic impact, but I think through the work that we've all done, this can be mitigated and we can emerge stronger and better than perhaps we were before. Our investment plans will continue. This year, we've made investments in metal processing. We've made investments in cutting of our polymers, and we've made investments in our assembly capability. So yes, there's been an economic impact, but I think with cooperation and support from customers, suppliers, CEDZ, this is something that we can emerge from stronger and better than we were in the past. Next slide, please. So we've reached out proactively to customers. Obviously, it was a very quick and sudden change in circumstances, but we have dynamic assessments of our order book. We have dynamic assessments of our capacity. Clearly, alignment, everybody is aware, alignment of those two is paramount to operating efficiently, especially in high volume manufacturing as we do. And I must say, our customers who have cooperated well in terms of helping us get stability into schedules. We've mitigated all possibilities for infection. We do not currently visit face-to-face customers, suppliers. We've adopted, as most companies have by now, video conferencing capability, helping our engineers understand how they can operate remotely, and using, as appropriate, different media to ensure that we've got seamless communication and effective communication, even though we are not communicating physically face to face. And this may be part of a new, more efficient way of working in the future. So I think being flexible, being agile is important, and being tolerant is important during these challenging times. Next slide, please. In terms of personal, as I said at the outset, it's all about people. So helping them understand the why these changes and regimes and rules are being put into place. We've cared for our people, helping them understand the travel restrictions, helping them to understand that we need to understand as a responsible employer where they have traveled to, why they are traveling, how they are traveling. I mentioned that we've reduced business travel. In some cases, we've arranged special transport for people to avoid taking public transportation. And we've made the working environment as safe as we possibly can. We've increased the frequency of cleaning. We do deep cleaning of certain areas which are signed for. And we've reduced gatherings, face-to-face meetings, etc. And I repeat, it's been successful. Long may it continue to be successful. But we've thankfully not had incidents of coronavirus through these practices. So it's been quite a difficult, certainly difficult, but a successful outcome nonetheless. Next slide, please. So creating understanding, how have we done this? We've done this through increasing our communication to our people, communicating at distance in limited settings on a face-to-face basis. We've increased our communication electronically. We've made our communication visible on the shop floor, in the offices, at the entrance, and we've helped people. We've helped people understand the why. We've explained the why we need to do these things. And I think once we get understanding, people can be more confident in what they do. And it's a virtuous circle of understanding, creating the confidence through the actions that management and CEDZ have taken. And that helps breed responsible people, people that care, people that understand the environment and why it is set that way. And we take feedback. We speak to our people. How do you feel? Do you see any areas for improvement? And we've taken that feedback positively, and where necessary, have adjusted our approach. So it's now becoming a very virtuous circle where we are supporting our employees are supporting us. And that way you can work more quickly. And that's what we've seen. Thank you. Next slide, please. So my last slide really, just to summarize, truly we've had positive input and cooperation from everybody. We do thank CEDZ for their role, their guidance, and what they've helped us achieve. And the business now, I'm very happy to say that the business now is returning. It is returning, I think, more robustly. I think we will see a positive outturn as we go through this year. So Nylacast is positive towards the future, and we've got to thank everybody for their support and cooperation. And we looked back on our own business priorities. before coronavirus, our business priorities, as you can see there on the slide, were environmental health and safety as number 1, quality as number 2, customer satisfaction, interestingly, as number 3, and then obviously growing the business profitably, number 4. Those were our priorities before coronavirus. We're now in and post coronavirus, and we've not changed our business priorities. We have not changed them at all. And I think that really is a good test of our strategy. Our strategy is not short term. We have a medium to long term view. The automotive industry enables us to have that. And I think through the cooperation of everybody, I certainly personally wanted to share with the audience that we've had a very positive outcome to this. And I would just like to say thank you. Thank you.
Many thanks to Simon Harvey, Managing Director of Nalacast, which is much more than only automotive, as we learned from the slides. Very interesting first testimony from the ground in Changshu. We now leave the word to Mario Bock, the plant director of Orman Changshu, involved in the production of industrial doors. Mario, over to you.
Thank you so much, Fabio, and thank you so much for everyone's speech before. I would like to share, first of all, some information about the company. Then I will go to the details how we resumed to work and what's our outcome. The vision of Hermann is to close all openings in China with high-tech solutions from Hermann. Please go ahead. Next slide. Next slide, please. Our company, Hermann, can you go back? One more. The Hermann company is a fully owned, family-owned company, and it's founded by August Hermann, running via Hermann, started in 1943, actually some milestones there. We have the current, can you please stop and go back to the slide number 4, slide before. Thank you so much. Mr. Martin Hermann is the 4th generation. Mr. Thomas Hermann, he will turn this year 82 years, is the 3rd generation, and Christoph Hermann is also within the 4th generation. We run the company as a family-owned company. We have no other shareholders, just the family. Next slide, please. As what I said, 100% family owned. Worldwide, we are having more than 6,000 employees, and we value our people a lot. We have an annual revenue in sales above 1 billion euro. Worldwide, we are running, the Hermann family runs 36 global plants, which are located in a lot of different countries in the world. And we have more than 100 global branches in 40 countries and a lot of partners in 50 countries worldwide. Next one, please. Our global production basis. Let's go to the global business, is also fine for me. The global business, what we are doing is we produce doors and door solution for residential projects, for public projects, and for industrial projects. You can see in residential projects we are building, we are designing, building, delivering and installing security doors, fire security doors, apartment doors, garage doors, internal doors. We have portamatic doors and door operators. Door operators are handling the door with electric impulse. Public buildings like school projects or typical hospital projects, fire-rated doors, internal doors, multi-purpose doors, sliding doors, swing doors, steel tubular doors and partition wall systems, anti-radiation doors, perimeter protection systems. Industrial projects, we are serving a lot of industrial customers here in China, in cold chain, in automotive, in pharmaceutical and other industries. Industrial sectional doors, rolling shutters, steel thermal insulated high-speed doors, flexible high-speed doors, dock levelers, flap dock levelers, inflatable dock seals to seal your truck to protect the cold chain, supply chain, loading houses and cold store and deep freeze doors. Next slide, please. The Hermann business is meanwhile committed to China since over 20 years. Our footprint started in 1989 in Beijing. Next slide, please. As you can see, our Hermann sales network in China and production plants, we have production location and sales location. Our production locations are in Beijing, this is the headquarter and the first start. In Tianjin, this is the second factory, which was built 10 years afterwards. And in Jiangsu province, in Changshu, here in the CEDZ, where we had in last year, in November, 8th of November, we had our official inauguration. We have 18 sales branches all over China. We run with 74 distribution partners in China. And we have a great big service network where we can provide a service for every customer who buys products from us. Next slide, please. Short introduction about the first German manufacturer of doors in China. Hermann Beijing door production was established in 1998, have a floor space of 30,000 square meters. We are running a capacity of 170,000 units per year. We currently in an upgrade automation production in 2020 until 2021. And we increased our production capacity from 170,000 units to 240,000 units per year. The overall investment is about 250 million Chinese yuan in 1989. And the products which we are producing there is about 52 different door types. This is the first production plant and the headquarter location in China. Next slide, please. Products which are developed and produced there are mainly fire-rated doors for the Chinese and Asia-Pacific market. We design, develop multi-purpose doors, so typical doors for machine rooms and for transformer rooms. We developed sliding doors manually, automatically, hermetic, and also with anti-radiation functions. And they are certified in China for the highest class in air permeability. We have swing doors, which are typical in restaurants or hotels. We are producing internal doors. We produce steel security doors for apartments, villas, houses. We have glass doors, glass partition wall systems for offices and other uses. And we developed, we are the first developer in China, in Hermann Group, for some smart home accessories like a smart lock. Next slide, please. The second factory was opened in 2008. It's the Hermann Tianjin door production. The company established in year 2008. The total floor space is almost 100,000 square meters. The total overall investment was 300,000 million RMB. And we produce about 30 different door types. Next slide, please. In this Tianjin plant, we design, produce on a high level of automation already, and producing a different group of products. This different group of products consists of industrial sectional doors, rolling shutters, industrial high-speed doors, dock levelers, used normally for logistic projects, flap dock shelters to seal your product, loading houses, and deep freeze door for optimized cold chains. From there comes garage doors as well for private use. Next slide, please. Now we come to the youngest family, the family member Hermann Changshu door production, which was started to establish in 2018. And as you're remembering back several slides ago, 1998, 2008, 2018. So Hermann actually have a cycle of every 10 years in China to committing more and more to this country. We have a floor space here in Changshu, currently of 40,000 square meters. Our production capacity is 100,000 units per year. We invested over 500 million Chinese yuan in 2018, and our actual product types is nearly around 20 different door types. Next slide, please. The Hermann Changshu factory is the most highly automated plant of the factories in Hermann Asia Pacific. We have a highly automated production line. We are the first factory in the Hermann Group in China to establish the SAP system. In the SAP system, the data comes from our customer, are generated automatically with almost no input from any employee, and are delivered directly to the equipment and generates the product programs and the products themselves. We here in Changshu have the biggest showroom of Hermann Asia Pacific, and we achieved the LEED Gold certification for interior design and construction for our office here in Changshu EDZ. Next slide, please. The products which we are producing here in Changshu are steel interior doors, steel internal doors easy type. We produce security doors, clean room doors, and also multi-purpose doors. Why is this factory established and having several of the same products like the Beijing factory? Because we are seeing a higher demand in steel internal doors, clean room doors, and multi-purpose doors. So actually we decided to establish a second factory with a few products similar manufactured like in Beijing. Next slide, please. Coming to the Corona fighting timeline. We call it fighting because it was a really challenge for everyone here in our team. No one was warned about the situation, and actually it catched us on the cold. And we all actually in Chinese New Year mode. But on the 20th of January, we have been informed that there is a virus. There is something going on with the coronavirus. On 22nd of January, our purchasing team started immediately buying epidemic prevention materials. During this time, we established a WeChat group, an internal WeChat group with the main managers to discuss, agree on actions, on priorities, and on how to resume back to work. On 30th of January, the HR sent a memo that the production start will be delayed to earliest 7th of February. Me myself, I was on holidays with my family, and we decided to come back as early as possible on a safe way. So actually we had a very, very close discussion with the CEDZ guys, with Edward, to find a way how we can come back to our place here in Changshu and what kind of documents are necessary. And Edward and his teams, they helped us a lot. They gave us the right documents. We applied for the QR code. We get the certificate that we can come back to our house. And we arrived back on 7th of February. Early enough to get the first shot and start resumption of production. We had from 9th to 10th, we did an online safety training. On 10th, we established a Corona emergency rescue team here, together with our guards, together with the service team of the food service team, and together with the maintenance, EHS, production, and assistance. We had a great support, a serious great support from the CEDZ, because we did not know how to get material back to our factory. Who can help us? How do we can proceed? We were lucky enough that before Chinese New Year, we ordered material which we assumed to need after Chinese New Year. So we had quite a big warehouse stock material to start production. 50% of our employees was back on 10th of February, and on 1st of March, all of our employees are back to work. We had the lucky chance to have been interviewed by the Changshu News on 14th of February, Valentine's Day. We've been visited by the Safety Bureau on 25th, and we had a second interview from the Suzhou TV on March 3rd. Before that, we received some masks from our headquarters from Germany, from Steinhagen. And the irony on this business is, by end of March, beginning of April, we started to sending masks, thermometers, and other protection equipment to our colleagues in Austria, our colleagues in Germany, to the headquarters in Germany, and also equipment and masks to USA. All materials is meanwhile arrived, and they're all happy, and we are continuing. Next slide, please. Some preventive actions so that you can see the daily precaution we did, same like the speaker from before. We did establish temperature measuring in the morning, temperature measuring in the evening. Our cleaning team did an amazing job by cleaning all the handles, cleaning the doors, cleaning the flooring, the toilet, and keeping everything well running. We did some training in hand washing, how to wash your hands. We fixed some disposed garbage bins to make sure that the risk of potential infection with disposed material is handled well. Next slide, please. This is next slide is in Chinese, but I guess some of you guys can understand it well. We did emergency measures and a rescue plan. What happened if someone arrives in our factory with a higher temperature. So 137, can you go back please again, Fabio? Fabio? You are too fast. Thank you so much. That's okay. Perfect. You can see some small short slides about how to keep the, how to store the material, what kind of masks we get, what kind of disinfection material we get. So actually we worked hard to get the things delivered, and the CEDZ helped us, and we are also helped our colleagues in Beijing to get some masks and some deliveries, which we actually here got faster than the colleagues in Beijing. Next slide. A short screenshot of an interview, which was really surprising. And the owner, Mr. Martin Hörmann, said one time, Mr. Bock, you're becoming a media star. I say, no, thank you so much, Mr. Hörmann. What we are doing, actually, we are protecting our people, we are communicating with our people, and we're spreading the word that safety, environmental health is the key point in our business. And we, as a family-owned company, we run this family here in Changshu as in company in family matters. Thank you so much. The last slide says "Xie" and thank you, and hope to see any one from you soon here in Changshu. Warmly welcome. I'm finished, Fabio.
So thank you, Mario, for this very interesting and last testimony from the battleground, as you named it, in the Changshu Economic and Development Zone. I will now open also the mic for Joe from Changshu, and also keep Mario's speaker up. So among the questions that we received, I'd like to throw one on both Mario and Joe that are still with us. On one side, for Joe's team, my question would be, what kind of trends have you seen in terms of the support that foreign invested manufacturers were actually requiring from the local authorities right before business resumption, and now that new orders are still coming up, but there is, I believe, a different set of actions from the local authorities in order to support the companies that have invested there. Joe, the word to you for the answer.
Okay, and so actually, sorry, just I mentioned in the PPT shows, and we have 39 counselors to provide service one by one to the enterprises in the development zones. And actually, we do the due diligence and survey to all the settled enterprises, and we do understand the difficulties currently the companies met, and especially for the order loss and returning ratio of the workers, and mainly about the market and sales. So first of all, we will try our best to reduce the cost of the normal operation of enterprises in our zones. Just I mentioned in the PPTs, and for the enterprises who list the standard workshop developed by the state-owned companies, that means if you list the government properties, and we will give you some rent-free period, I mean the rental exemption period, in the months of the February, and half rental of the March, and half rental of the April's. And we still will provide some financing support to give you the very low, the financing ratios to do the to provide the financial company loans to the enterprises. And that is the second delay, the financial support. The third one is we will encourage the enterprises in our zones to implement the mutual purchasing. Actually, we have such kind of the policies of the mutual purchasing encouragement. That means for the company A in the zone and purchase the cargoes or the commodities of the company B in the same zones. The company B or company A could enjoy about a certain percentage rewarded of the total value of the cargoes, and this policy is still be available for the companies and the enterprises in the zone. So totally, this is a three measurement we could took for supporting our enterprises in the zone to survival from this kind of difficulties affected by the COVID-19 and the trade war. Okay,
thank you, Joe. And I will just close up on your part by adding that at the end of the Lianghui, so the 13th National People Congress, through the work report set out by China's Premier Li Keqiang, it appears that the incentives that were available both to SMEs and medium to large enterprises in terms of the vacancy from 3 of the 5 social insurance contributions, so in order to reduce the total company cost for salaries, will be extended far beyond the timeline of April and May, and will be applied up to the end of 2020. That is also true for incentives for small-scale taxpayer, which will be abstaining from declaring and filing tax returns for the whole years. And we really hope that this is just the beginning for more, let's say, formal policies in order to facilitate the business resumption now that the situation appears to be under control here in China. Now, the word over to Mario, because with such a global manufacturer like Horman Group, I have a question for the leader of the plant, let's say the youngest of the family, as Mario has mentioned it. Do you foresee, Mario, that the business resumption rate and the pace with which that happened in your plants in Beijing, Tianjin, and Changshu would be the same or different how in all the other plants of Horman? We know the support of the local authorities in Changshu was vital, as you described it, but as a German manufacturer, we know that you stick to efficiency no matter where you operate in the world. So what is your opinion on that?
Talking for the global footprint of Horman, every factory in the world is specialized in some typical products and is serving more or less the local region. Means all the European factories are producing and serving the local European market until Russia. We have factories. We have a factory in India, which is responsible for the Indian market. We have a factory in Dubai, which is serving the Middle East region and is importing from different other countries some products which are necessary. Us here in China, the three factories, we have adopted to the local market need, to the products which are possible to sell and possible to produce here in these regions. We are serving with product development and product design and product production here in China, the Asia Pacific market. We've been a little bit fear that the business in China will slow down and will impact us more. But the positive effect, the government in China pushed through the crisis several projects where we are delivering our products in. Means especially talking about the Changshu factory, we are involved in a lot of hospital and school projects. And these hospital and school projects are really keeping pace and pushing to get earlier in business. So this helps us as a Hermann Group in China to not lose track and to increase our efficiency day by day. Looking to the setup we have here in Changshu, we can give our customer an immediate status about their production order. We can give them a clear date of delivery. We know our receiving material. We have a very transparent situation here. That means we increased our efficiency due to this shortages of in-between manpower and later receiving the people again back. We actually focused that the people stay healthy, arrive healthy, stay healthy, and we try to keep them stable and not changing so many stuff in between. The Asia Pacific region, out of China, suffered a little bit more, but is starting now to recovering back. And the Beijing factory and Tianjin factory, the Beijing factory actually started almost the same date like the Changshu factory with production and also with 50% first. And Tianjin suffered a little bit longer due to cases very close to their factory. But the committed people, they moved into the factory. Around 30 people bought tents and actually camped inside the factory to be quarantined for around 10 days and then restart production. This is an amazing commitment, and this one really shows Hermann is a family from both sides, from the top management to the blue-collar workers and to the middle management. Thank you so much for everyone who really supported the Hermann family in business and who's supporting the China's growth. And I'm pretty sure we will not suffer that much in China as the government is really pushing output and local needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. And I guess the long-term commitment that was showed by both the slides of Nylacast and Hermann Group is basically confirming one trend in the Chinese economy. That is to say, the opportunities that are up for grabs in the Changshu Economic and Development Zone, but in the Chinese market at large, are here for the manufacturers or the traders that see China as a market. The old model, which was export-based and based on low-cost production, is long gone and definitely not hit by the US-China trade war, which is something that came up only in the past 2 years. The companies that had to move away from China have already done so, both in Vietnam or Thailand and other low-cost jurisdictions in Asia. And we believe that also the infrastructural plan set forth by municipal authorities, so not only in Changshu, but also in bigger cities in the Yangtze River Delta, like Shanghai, for example, will probably drive not only the development of the sector in which Hermann is located, but let's say the overall economy for which the Changshu manufacturing base is actually putting orders into the making. With these last words, I'd like to thank Joe Ying from the Changshu Economic and Development Zone, Nylacast Managing Director Simon Harvey, who left us early for other events in his agenda, and also Mario Bock from Hermann Changshu. I wish everybody a good weekend ahead, and I hope you found this session informative for your business. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, Joe. And see you soon on Oxford channels. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you all. Bye.